Welcome to Suits on Suits LA. We're your hosts, Quinn and Jared Mayberry.
Brothers and practicing lawyers.
More than anybody on the show can say.
Yeah, God, that was rough.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever watched a TV show and thought, wow, I could really improve that.
Spoiler alert for this episode, and probably every subsequent episode of our show, we fucking hated this.
Yeah, it was so hard to watch. So the original premise of this show was we wanted to talk about law in a way that was more fun. We might not be great at doing that, but that was the idea.
100%.
We wanted to find pop culture references to law. We had a bunch of friends who liked the show Suits.
Yep.
We slowly got into it and
we still like the show Suits.
And really fell for it.
Yeah.
Then we thought, well, this is perfect. Suits LA is coming out.
Yep.
We'll talk about Suits LA. We're both lawyers practicing in LA. Show sucks.
It sucks. And I think our whole premise changed, which was now we're just going to roast them episode by episode by episode, giving you little legal tidbits and factoids along the way.
Throughout, yeah. So we still will be covering some legal concepts, and it's just going to turn into more of what the show got wrong than what the show got right and wrong.
But it's not limited to the law, because what they got wrong isn't limited to the law.
Precisely. Well said. What's the difference between Suits and Suits LA?
I think it's the same writers, which I'm like, how the did you...
Is it really?
Yes. That's the sales pitch. It's the same writers. Guys, I have nothing but respect for you, but what the were you doing? Can you please just tell us, is it a studio problem? Like, what's the fucking problem?
Okay, we need episode 1, rival firms. We need to make sure we don't give a shit about any of the characters or relationships.
We need a broken son who hates his father because his father's a total piece of shit, and a brother with special needs to make him more
We need a special
approachable.
needs ghost.
Do you think they're going to make pottery at some point in the series?
It's like a fucking Mad Lib of like, it's like they were challenging each other.
I agree. Yeah,
it was like a game of chicken to see how much they could include in this episode.
You know what it reminds me of?
This show.
It's like Super Troopers. Whenever they wanted to, they had the contest for how many times can you say meow when you're pulling someone over. That's what they're doing.
Can we get special needs brother ghost? Can we get betrayal by best friend and ex-girlfriend who he works with pretty professionally on a daily basis?
Yeah, they were about to merge firms with his ex-girlfriend, almost fiance, and then she fucking knifes him, and his best friend knifes him. Somehow they started their careers all in New York and then made their way to LA. No backstory there, but plenty of backstory on every other aspect of this fucking dipshit's life.
Can we get a father who sells him out to the mob, but who he's kind of pissed off at, but everybody's like, well, I mean, you got to show for your dad. Can we get Boy Scout associate who's like his minty protege?
Yeah.
Who just rolls on him in a, like, for a dime. Just nothing. There's absolutely no reason he needs to betray him.
Can I just say
Betrays
this?
him.
I feel like Rick's in a scary movie. Run, Rick.
Rick
Run.
is a pussy.
He's a total pussy, but they're about to knife him. There are so many fucking dickhead.
Good, knife him. I want to see one of these people have a comeuppance. I'm like, any of them. Even just Ted.
Yeah.
Just, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I want to see, the only character on the show that I like is Erica. I take that back. Leah is growing on me.
No, but of course they made Leah like this kind of done bimbo woman. It's like, what the guys? Why could Mike has an eidetic memory, smartest guy on earth, but the freaking protege that's a female is a fucking bimbo.
Yeah, and then we're just shocked that she's actually pretty clever. Like, she was the mastermind of this plot.
There was no respect given to her.
We're gonna try and talk about the law a little bit, but this show is fucking lost.
Well, okay, so you've realized that there's been a turn. We are now the heel.
Yeah, it's like we were trying to be diplomatic. We're trying to grow a following here. We're trying to get an in to talk about legal concepts through something that's fun and interesting. I don't get how these are the same creators of the original series, because we're late to the original series.
Yes.
I can genuinely say, you know, the original series isn't my favorite show on TV. Yeah. It isn't Breaking Bad for me. It's not The Wire. It's not Sopranos.
Cliche much?
Yeah. I just like anything everybody else likes.
But you
I
genuinely
like
like the characters.
I think it's a great show.
Yeah, I agree.
It took me a few episodes to really get on board. I've come to the point where I think it is a great show.
They take their time and they introduce you to the people in the right way. There is a building of the connection with the character. Can we talk about the fact that everyone in this show that is an entertainment lawyer is an agent?
They're not agents. They're actually divorce attorneys. They're prosecutors.
Yeah.
Who just happen to be making deals for clients.
Oh. Also, like, how did they cast this fucking show? None of them have charisma. What is his name? What's the fucking...
I don't know.
No, you know.
I'm not going to find out.
Beard man.
Stuart Lane.
Stuart Lane. That fucking beard looks like...
It looks so puby. I've been bothered by it since the first episode. I'm like, and he looks like it seems like a great actor. It's like, trim your beard up.
It's like coiffed hair, puby ass beard, and it looks like it was like glued on. Like some guy who's like, okay, shave those pubes, I'm gonna put them on my face. It's unbelievable, dude.
The guy seems like a good actor. There's no fucking way I'd hire that guy. He wouldn't make it through an interview with a beard like that. I would be suspect of his judgment. Okay, so I don't know what happened between the last episode and this episode. I didn't like the first episode. The second episode, I was trying to reserve judgment.
Yes.
Second episode,
It actually was a little better.
I thought it was significantly better.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was a C minus
Yes.
instead of a fucking 0. and then this episode comes in big fat 0.
It was atrocious. I was sitting there watching it thinking this whole time, if I have to talk about this with any level of decorum, I'm fucking gonna shoot myself.
Jared and I have no experience as commentators. We're trying to pull this together every week. And this week, I threw my hands in the air.
I did.
There's no constructive way to talk about this show as if we enjoy it. And I can't take myself seriously if I pretend to enjoy this episode.
I would lose respect for myself.
Yeah. And something I'm willing to do, by the way.
I just don't have any left.
All right. We're going to talk about typecasting and how, they could use a little bit more typecasting whenever it comes to the legal roles. People aren't typically entertainment lawyers, criminal defense attorneys, and divorce attorneys.
Yep.
Let's talk about the Betrayal.
Yes.
And how there are absolutely no stakes on this show.
Yep.
Turns out Ted Black, hard ass, is also the most spineless person I've ever seen on screen.
Totally agree.
And then finally, we're going to talk about these hard-elbowed negotiations, and we're going to try and learn a thing or two from it. All right, let's talk about typecasting first.
Okay.
So we see this plot line where Brian Baumgartner,
yes.
Is that his name? Plays Kevin Malone on The Office.
I think it's Brian Baumgartner.
Okay. He's trying to transition from comedic roles to dramatic roles.
Yes.
Appreciate the fact that there's maybe a general rule in Hollywood where that doesn't happen. There are so many exceptions.
So many.
Being an actor is something that doesn't happen
Adam
as a general
Sandler
rule. Yeah.
is someone who moved from comedy to very good dramatic roles.
Walter Goggins, I think
Yes.
I don't know where he started, but fantastic at both.
Yes.
You've got Aubrey Plaza. There are dozens. It's like, I can appreciate that it's not common. Again,
Yes.
being an actor isn't common.
Agreed.
This is crazy to me that this is like the whole premise. Meanwhile, we have this parallel plot line where the attorneys could never be typecast. If you're an attorney, you do it all.
You do it all.
So,
And it's all super prestigious.
yeah, exactly. At an insanely high level.
Yeah.
So, all right, some context on this. There was a time where there are a lot of general practitioners. If you were a lawyer, you practice law. You maybe helped somebody in the local community sell their farm.
Yes.
You would help people with divorces. You would
Help with estate planning. You'd help write wills. You'd help with criminal representing your client's family in some kind of their delinquent son in some kind of criminal defense work.
You would represent individuals and families, and you would take on whatever legal problems they had, from civil to criminal to transactional. You might do it all. These would typically be lower stakes transactions, and they would be things that were more run of the mill, I guess maybe the best way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, think Lee Harper's what's his name? Atticus Finch. Think Atticus Finch, and think small town lawyer today. That still somewhat happens in a small town.
Yeah.
In a large metropolitan city, never happens in 2025.
And so let's say that you do all of those things. Some larger firms service all of those practice areas.
Yeah.
Some individual attorneys do multiple things at a very high level. There will be a through line. So you're going to be
unlike the show.
You're going to be a litigator. So maybe you went from criminal defense to civil defense and you still have trial experience.
Yes.
Maybe you went from one practice area and you made a big career pivot into another practice area. That absolutely happens. The idea that you are a high-powered entertainment lawyer who is representing somebody who's accused of murder and also handling their divorce for the hell of it is like unheard of.
But that's what Ted does. That's what I do, he says.
That's what I do.
That's what I do.
That's also what Stuart does. That's just commonplace on the show.
Yeah. Unless you're Rick, who is only head of entertainment.
And again, whenever it comes to career development, you can pivot. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Attorneys have general licenses. As long as they are competent to practice in that practice area, they are allowed to do so. You're just never going to see this play out the way it played out on the show.
To be honest, it's just like so not fun. It's so unbased in reality. It's so lacking a basis in reality. I'm like, what am I watching? Like, is this like, who has the magic wand? Who is Peter Pan here?
That's what I was about to say is like, I enjoy fantasy.
Yes.
Harry Potter, great series. It's like, there are some rules.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Maybe they develop them over time, but there are rules.
Even Harry Potter has weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we hear about them over time and we're introduced to these rules piecemeal as we start to care about the characters. We just get dropped in the middle of this shitstorm of a situation that I somehow don't care about.
Like, not even a little bit.
Stakes don't exist. So let's talk about the betrayal.
Yes.
All right. He gets shivved, just has his knees cut off by his best friend, who he considers a brother.
Yes.
And his ex, who he was about to get married to.
Yeah, who
is one of his closest friends right now. Talk about vulnerability. Like, your ass is just hanging out there.
Right.
And not only do they both betray him, they betray him with each other.
I know. And somehow it's also not sexual. It's a weird betrayal.
I almost wish it were.
I know, because then it would feel like
maybe it would start to make sense. You're
Well,
like,
but on top
passion
of-
got away from you. I don't know.
Let me take a step back. How the fuck do you think it goes from here to the next level of drama?
I'm not sure if I'm going to stick around to find out. So, okay, there are these massive betrayals, and Ted continues to. So he's pissy. He is pissy.
Sure. Yes.
Ted isn't happy that he was betrayed, but he's not furious.
No.
He's not icing these people out of his life. He's pissy.
Yeah. The worst part is he's not icing them out of his life. He's not so upset it's like beyond him why they even exist. It is just pissy, and it's also
You mean beyond him why they would do this?
why they would do this.
Yeah.
He's also just a little pissy. He's not also saying, you know what, this is how people should interact in the world. Even if you don't agree with it, at least if it fit his paradigm of what could happen or what people should do in the world, i.e., everyone's out for themselves. Everyone should knife each other in the back. They're just trying to get whatever they can in any given moment. We don't even know if that's the way he views the world. And so he's just like in the middle of these two extremes. I don't know what his personal views on the world are. Like, I have no idea.
But I would actually push back on that because I think that we know he cares deeply about loyalty.
Well,
his ex says he's nothing if not loyal. Yeah. With Rick, he feels betrayed because Rick
we know
quits.
that's been stated.
Yeah.
We don't know that that's what he believes.
Well, we're only 3 episodes in, but that's our best bet is that's what they're trying to tell us.
That's what they're trying to tell us, not showing it one bit.
But they do show it. Whenever Rick leaves, he feels so betrayed because Rick quits for a better job opportunity. And he feels betrayed. Meanwhile, the two closest people in his life.
Yes.
As far as we can tell.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is he's proving that loyalty isn't that important. Why is he only a little pissy? Why is he not like absolutely furious?
Because there's no consistency.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't follow it. That's what I'm saying. So they're like saying things which are like super cliche, like loyalty is the most important thing to Ted. And he's so pissed whenever this guy betrays him, even though it wasn't really like a disloyal move. It was a career move. But then whenever his best friend and his ex-fiance knife him in the back, he's like, it's okay.
So what would make sense to me here is if they quit. They were all at a firm together, and his ex-fiance and Stuart decided, Ted hasn't shown any appreciation for our contributions. Like, we're important parts of this firm. We're always, second fiddle. We don't get the respect we deserve. We've tried to bring this up to Ted. He's so obstinate about it. We just don't see how there's a professional relationship here. We've got to go our separate ways. No. They merged their firms.
Yes.
And then lead him to believe he's going to be a part of this.
Yes.
Ice him out of it. Steal his clients. Yes. Try and tank his entire career.
Reasonable.
Through lies and deception. And he acts as though
Tuesday.
He acts as though they quit and decided that this was a professional breakup and that he's pissy about it.
Well, I mean, if you talk to Stuart's wife, it was just like you had to do what you had to do.
That part. So she's a fucking therapist.
I know. And
her response is,
I know Ted demeaning criminal defense took a toll on you over the years. And on the business side, I fully support you cutting ties with him.
Get the fuck out of here. You made your bed.
Dude.
Go lie in it.
The idea that you would even have any relationship whatsoever after that happened, insane.
If Stu came back groveling and said, here are all of the reasons I made this mistake. It was a mistake and they felt plausible. Who knows? Maybe there's a world in which there's reconciliation here.
Yeah.
They're just going about their lives, business as usual, just hopping on casual work calls, just interacting.
You're going to be so upset if you hang up this phone on me right now.
Yeah. I mean, it
is a betrayal. Like, I agree with you. I actually think if Stu had just said, hey, I'm out, and it weren't some kind of premeditated decision.
Yeah.
And then for sure, I'd be like, yeah, look, I get it. There's drama. Ted needs to learn something from this. We're going to understand over the series, or maybe at least the season, like Ted's going to grow. Yeah. That's what this season's going to be about. Ted's going to learn how to be less of a fucking dick.
Yeah. Well, and they started dropping little breadcrumbs about how, Ted called him a flea or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did some of these things that were like really fucked up. Like he did a lot of things.
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to continue to peel back that story.
Agreed.
And we were going to see like, oh, Ted really fucked up.
Yeah, he's a big asshole.
And maybe there's some explanation for why they had to do it this way.
But they went the opposite way.
They went the exact opposite direction.
They just showed how much Ted bent over for Stuart. They spent this whole third episode. I agree with you. We were going to peel back the onion. We were going to understand why Ted was a dick. And we understand why Stuart wanted to knife him as hard as he could in the back.
Or at least why he was backed into a corner and he had to make this decision.
I still don't understand how he had to make it this way. Because, be a man and freaking quit.
I agree.
Merge your practice with someone else.
At least try and explain it.
Okay,
as a show writer.
Fair.
Yeah.
But then, instead, we get the softer side of Ted.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
this is the Ted's Bed Bath Beyond version of Ted.
We see these negotiations happening.
Yes.
We see Ted. Stuart doesn't get it in these negotiations. Your client is going to get murdered.
What the hell was that? I'm representing my client to the best of my ability. If you didn't want me to
Honolulu? Why didn't you ask to put him on the moon?
The second he is cut loose,
yes,
murdered.
And you're worried about Honolulu.
He ain't getting Honolulu.
No, I go Honolulu, you go Miami, then we're done.
Yeah, it's like, so this part I actually thought, I liked the way Ted played it, and I thought it was actually pretty realistic. This was the one storyline I thought was pretty realistic.
Well, except for the dad part. Let's just cut out the dad part.
Yeah, fair. His dad
I didn't break a single law. You took money to obstruct a federal investigation. I offered my son a job.
What sounded like some pretty small amount of money from a mob boss
To hire his son and implicate him.
to implicate his son in massive levels of misconduct, completely derail his entire career. His dad seems to have plenty of money.
Yeah.
His dad's a practicing attorney. He said, well, sure. Fuck this kid.
He's like, well, my personality would say I would accept the money. Basically what happened is they had created an AI character and they said, you know what? This character would accept the money that is meaningless to his life and completely fuck his son because that's what his character would do.
Yeah,
So,
he's going to fuck his son. I don't care if that doesn't comport with what any human being on the planet would do.
Yeah.
I don't care that to get there, we would have to develop that character.
it doesn't even speak of like a narcissism. It's not like I don't even know what the mental disorder that would be required for him to do this because it doesn't make any sense for any.
My favorite thing about this show is that they don't bother trying to find out.
Well, I'm bothered.
They say, okay, you're left with the impression that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Exactly.
We're not going to try and give you anything that might justify it. No. He's a piece of shit. He acts like a piece of shit. What more do you want? All right.
Yeah, we don't need to explain the backstory. I know nothing about his dad other than he would accept a small amount of money to burn his son.
Audiences are stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like he's a bad guy. He does things. What do you want?
Ipso facto, it's done.
Done. No. Okay. So the negotiation around the witness. Negotiations are all about leverage.
Yes.
The show even manages to be annoying about raw power and negotiations.
Yeah.
Even though ultimately, oftentimes that's what they're about.
Totally.
We've talked about it before. What's your best alternative to a negotiated deal? In this case, it's leaving and getting fucking killed. So that's the mobster's option.
After killing someone else. That's the other thing. Let's just remember, he's getting this deal after everyone in that room knows he murdered someone else.
Yep. That's exactly right. Oh, Ted's pissed off at it. Finally, a motivation that makes sense. He's not going to cut him some slack on the deal because he murdered this guy he felt like he had an obligation to protect. He did have an obligation to protect.
He murdered a witness.
Yeah.
He murdered a witness who was going to turn on his boss. And then he goes, well, no, now you got me, I'm turning.
Whoa, I'll turn.
Yeah.
But
he was willing to kill someone else so they didn't turn.
Yeah.
And then he's going to turn.
Well, I'll turn, but only for Honolulu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, get the out of here. You're gonna.
Also, how did you get caught? Leave. Go to Honolulu before they catch you, bud.
Insane. And so, okay, his best alternative, murdered. Ted's best alternative, he loses a case he really cares about.
Yeah.
So it's like, how does that shake out at the end of the day? He takes whatever fucking deal Ted gives him.
Yeah. Well, Stu didn't think so.
Stuart didn't think so, and he decided, because of the wizardry he pulled off during this negotiation, he's going to devote his life to criminal defense work.
That's the best part.
It fucking pisses me off so much.
He was so bad and actually didn't represent a criminal.
I watched this episode not once, but twice to try and come up with legal concepts to cover. And
I love
that's 2 hours of my life I'm not getting back.
That is the experience that pushed him over the edge to switching from corporate law. Yes. This is where I am. This is who I am now, Ted.
You know what? We could get this incredibly unsympathetic criminal defendant. I think criminal defense work is noble work.
Yeah.
A lot of people deserve second chances. They're trying to turn their lives around. Even if they're not, the state is coming down on them with this great power at times. A
lot of force.
We have to balance the power dynamic there. They managed to pick one of the least sympathetic criminal defendants. This guy who had turned snap of a finger, has no loyalty to anybody, who just murdered.
I can't believe his name wasn't like Tony Bonafu. Like he was so cliche.
Yeah. Tony Gamblione.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Come on. I'm like, fuck it.
And honestly, it might be.
I actually would
don't
be
know
offended if I were Italian for how bad they smeared you guys in this episode.
Okay, so he murders this, like, one of the characters I somehow managed to care about in the first episode.
Yep.
This guy who, seems like he's doing this for all the right reasons. He's trying to turn to help his daughter out. Murders that guy. Has no interest in justice whatsoever.
Nope.
And
He's like, what are you going to do for me?
He's going to get off scotch-free.
Yes.
And be put into witness protection. And Stewart thinks, you know what? I'm going to drive a hard bargain here.
Yeah.
I want to start representing these guys. It's like, get out of here. What kind of origin story is that? So that's the best origin story they can have, is Stewart cares a lot about money and wants to feel alive, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
He felt there was some
No, yeah. He's like, why don't you get into prosecutorial work? You know I like money.
Be a prosecutor. I'll make a call.
Come on, we both know I like money way too much.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
Well,
so you're going to start a
likable.
criminal defense firm with 0 clients. That's a path to riches.
Yeah.
It's like, it pisses me off how many holes there are in every single storyline.
Oh, that's the best part.
Yeah.
That was the best one. None of it made sense, but that choice, like why even, you know what? We didn't need a backstory. I didn't need an origin story. You didn't have to tell me why Stewart decided
People just go into criminal defense. Great. That's one thing that we could actually accept.
Exactly.
You know
It
what we
didn't have
need a
to be
backstory
rational.
for? Just about everything else.
Exactly.
Like,
Oh my God. Fuck me, man.
So we've got the divorce between the guy who...
The producer.
We've got the divorce between the producer...
And the ex-actress.
Who is one of their entertainment clients.
Yes.
Who is accused of murdering somebody who's also going through a divorce.
Yes.
It's like, just pick a f***ing lane.
I know. So they're at the table. They both agree to split it 50-50 because she's going to be on the stand for him.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I got to give
extortion.
I know, exactly.
Just like, and then Stewart acts like, let's cut to the chase. We're here to extort you.
Let me ask a question. Would a prosecutor who finds out that the defendant, their star witness, character witness, is this man's wife, ex-wife, and she has just taken 50% of his estate, even though the prenup provided that she should have nothing, although that's not exactly how prenups work.
Yeah.
Do you think you bring that up? Do you think in the cross-examination? Well, it's interesting. You were actually paid for this testimony, were you not?
So that
Would you have given this testimony had he stuck to the prenup?
Absolutely, I would.
I mean, it's insane.
It's insane. So
And
to
then-
break down what Jared's saying there, you'll be impeached for any number of reasons, your professional affiliations, your any number of reasons, but a common
as a
one,
witness.
as a witness,
Yeah.
a common one would be who's paying you.
Yes.
So typically a character witness wouldn't be paid by anybody. They're coming because they stand by the person whose character they're testifying to.
It's titular. They are trying to testify to the character of the person who's being accused. They're good, or in most of the time, if you're on the defendant's side, you're testifying to the fact that this person is a good person.
Now picture yourself on a jury.
Yes.
So I am
Okay,
the
I'm here.
prosecutor.
I'm in character.
Jared is going to be the soon-to-be ex-wife. And the prosecutor would ask something like this. So, isn't it true that there was a prenup?
Yes.
Were you entitled to any of the assets from the marriage?
No.
Quick aside, that's not how prenups work.
Yes.
Ignore that, because that's how the show wants
Yes.
prenups to work. So you were not entitled to any of the proceeds from any of the assets that were accrued during the marriage.
Correct.
Did you receive any assets?
Yes.
How many assets?
50%.
So you received 50% of the assets that were exclusively the property of your, at the time, partner.
Yes.
Despite not being entitled to them in any way, shape, or form, having no legal claim whatsoever on those assets.
Correct.
And you're testifying here today on behalf of that person who gave you half of their net worth, despite having no legal obligation to do so.
Yeah.
So it's silly.
So stupid.
It's silly. It's really silly.
She is. It's terrible sets of fact that ruins her as a character witness.
Yeah.
1, 2. I don't understand in this negotiation how the fact that the producer knew meant that everything's off the table. They're renegotiating. If she's going to stand by him, she wants it all. But it's also not if she wants to stand by him, because she was coming in saying, "There's no way. I think you knew, and there's no way that I was gonna." I'm going to stand by you, but I still deserve more.
But in a stroke of genius,
Yes.
Ted realized she wanted to feel heard.
It kind of reminds me.
It's almost like Ted's master legal mind gave him this insight that humans want to feel heard.
What's the Mel Gibson movie whenever he gets shocked by lightning and he can hear women's voices?
Jesus Christ. I don't know, but it sounds spot on.
He becomes he's like an ad salesperson, and he becomes in touch with the women's thoughts, female thoughts. It feels like Ted, who has been portrayed this entire
Passion
time.
of the Christ.
Ted, who has been portrayed this entire time as being an out of touch alpha D-bag. And now knows exactly what women. It's what women want. That's the name of the movie.
What women want.
What women want.
And as if that's going to be the thing that just changes the game. She can't stand by him at trial,
Yes.
but now that you've heard
Now that he got her a
yeah,
an acting role, he didn't really just hear. He transacted on.
yeah, exactly.
He heard her, and then he transacted on that on that information.
I was so selfish to keep you from the world. I totally get why you fucked my best friend.
Here's a great role. I don't know if it's a great
I
role.
got it for you over the span of 37 minutes between that phone call and you walking into this room.
I have no agenda.
And honestly, if you don't testify, that's fine.
Exactly. He has absolutely no agenda. He doesn't care about it at all. He just wants her to know that he cares about her and that he is a narcissistic piece of shit. But he's learned. He's broken. Because Ted explained the world to him.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved his shout out to Ted in the room. He's
I
like,
know. And he's like, that's what I do. That was the line of the episode. That's what I do.
all right.
High five. That's what I do.
As a general rule, prenups are dividing or making clear what assets are separate property.
Yes.
At least in the state of California, what assets are separate property as opposed to community property.
Exactly.
And community property, as a general rule, is what is split 50-50
Or
at the time of the
based
dissolution
on
of
whatever
marriage.
distribution is agreed to by the judge. But
Yeah.
But community
Often 50-50 or close to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is delineating what is separate property and what is community property, so as to not leave any doubt around what falls into what bucket, what assets fall into what bucket.
Yeah, and like so many things, this gets complicated, but as a general rule, I think that's where we'll leave it.
Yep. That's the only law you will learn by watching this show. Not this show, Suits on Suits LA.
This show, yeah.
This show, you'll learn more.
Look, the thing I love about Suits LA is the bar is so low for us to provide more value than the show.
Couldn't agree more.
Original series, much higher bar.
Here's my, I guess, this is a terrible show. You're going to get to hear us tear it apart episode by episode. This is way more fun than watching the actual show. I'm so glad we had this conversation because I was bubbling up inside with how much hatred I had for the show.
I've never hate watched something before.
I know. I'm excited.
Exactly. I'm getting giddy.
Yeah.
No.
My question is, do they even quit it mid-season?
I don't think so. They must have recorded these, no?
There is a time when you just say, dump it in the trash.
Oh, man.
I hope not, because I want at least 10
not.
episodes of this.
And I'm waiting for a little bit of this feedback dished right back to us.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Give it to us. Give us the takes on Suits on Suits. Tell us why that show should be canceled. We need a little, like Erica, we need some fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I guess it was Erica giving Brian Baumgartner the fuel.
Well, but she had it originally.
Yeah. We need our MJ Last Dance.
Yeah.
Moment.
I took that personally.
Exactly. Just at least take the time to hate on us. Like, stop ignoring us.
Yeah. All right. So give us your hottest takes on why this show sucks or is good. And then we'll hate on you.
All right. We will see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Like and subscribe.
All
Tell
right.
Quinn the gold isn't the color.
Got a little Trumpian Jared over here. All right. So we'll see you next week.
See